Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It helps us out a ton. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Now, if you're looking for my MLB best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Of course, I'm always running my $15 MLB best bet, so you can check that out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Tuesday, August 9th. First up, we see a doubleheader between the Chicago White Sox and the Kansas City Royals. Game 1 at 4:10 Eastern start time with Lance Lynn and Brady Singer on the mound. Game 2, we don't have an official starter for either team, so we're not going to be able to talk about that game on the rundown, unfortunately. But for Game 1, we should see Lynn and Singer, like I mentioned. And, Lance Lynn hasn't had the best 2022 season. However, he did pitch really well against this Kansas City Royals lineup last time out. He went 6 innings, only 1 earned run. It was 1 home run that he allowed. Really the only mistake pitch he made in that start. 8 strikeouts and only 4 base hits allowed, no walks as well. I think he pitches well in this spot. On the other side, Brady Singer's also had success against this White Sox lineup. In 15 innings this year, only 4 earned runs allowed. That's a 2.4 ERA. He's got 14 strikeouts, only 1 homer and 1 walk allowed. I think both of these pitchers pitch well here, and I like the under in Game 1. Gonna have to take a Ruffalo a pass in Game 2 just because we don't have any starters listed for either team. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Philadelphia Phillies with Braxton Garrett and Zach Wheeler on the mound for this one. Garrett being a lefty, the Phillies have hit lefties pretty well in the last month and overall in 2022 as well. When you look at the numbers, team OPS-wise, Philadelphia ranked 8th in the last 30 days. In terms of isolated power, ranked 9th, so in the top 10 in both categories. I like them to be able to get to Garrett here. The Phillies offense is on a roll right now, and they're quietly winning some games. They're now 12 games above 500. I'm sure they have played some weaker teams, especially their last series against the Nationals, but the Miami Marlins have not really played very good baseball, especially on the offensive side of things, not scoring a lot of runs. Zach Wheeler with that sub-3 ERA this year. I think he pitches well in this spot. The Marlins used to be able to hit right into pitching really well, but now struggling against righties and lefties. Zach Wheeler at home this year, 5-2 with a 1.58 ERA, 67 strikeouts and 62.2 innings at home this year. I like Wheeler and the Phillies to win this one by more than 1 run. Give me the Phillies on the run line. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Baltimore Orioles with Alek Manoah and Kyle Bradish on the mound for this one. Now, I will say, I think there's some value here on the home dog. We know the Orioles are playing really, really well at Camden Yards this season. They've been one of the more profitable home teams in 2022. You look at Alek Manoah in his last few outings, I haven't necessarily been impressed with his game. He only gave up 2 earned runs in his last start against the Twins, but he had 4 walks allowed in that one. The previous start to that game against the Tigers, 5 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned, a home run, a walk. Only 4 strikeouts, so a little bit concerning. When you look at the Baltimore Orioles, they're number 7 in the last 30 days in team OPS against righties with a 775 team OPS. And Kyle Bradish did not start the season strong. His ERA is still at 6.55. However, he's got 58 strikeouts in 56 innings, so he's able to miss some bats. And you look at his last 2 starts against the Reds and Rangers, not the greatest of lineups, but still 10 innings, only 3 earned runs allowed with 12 strikeouts. Pretty impressive. He's improving his game. His xFIP is below 4, and I think the Orioles have some value on him. Give me the Baltimore Orioles here, getting plus money on the money line. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Boston Red Sox. Charlie Morton and Rich Hill are your starters for this one. Now, I know we're at Fenway Park for this game, but I still think this total is set just a little bit too high. Charlie Morton's coming off a real sharp start against the Phillies. 6 2/3 innings, no earned runs, 8 strikeouts. He has been a lot better as of late than he was at the beginning of the year. And the Boston Red Sox lineup just hasn't been the same in the last month or so. So I think Morton has a good start in this one. But on the other side, Rich Hill, he certainly struggled his last outing against the Astros. But the Braves have not been great against left-handed pitching. It's pretty surprising. But when you look at the numbers, 14th in team OPS in the last month, so about about league average, but well below league average. Actually, one of the worst teams in baseball in isolated power against lefties, ranked 26th in the last month, which is pretty surprising. But those are the numbers. And Rich Hill, not usually giving up a ton of home runs this year, only 9 home runs allowed the entire season. He's not going to get a lot of strikeouts, but he's going to get you some innings. I think he gives the Red Sox 4 to 5 quality innings. The Red Sox bullpen hasn't been the best, but this total set really high, so I think we have some wiggle room here. Even if the Braves score 4 or 5 runs, I don't think Boston can chip in. I think we're going to go under this total. Give me the under in this Braves-Red Sox matchup. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the New York Mets. Mike Minor and Carlos Carrasco are your starters for this contest. Now, Mike Minor had a really good matchup in his last start against the Miami Marlins. We know the Marlins do not hit left-handed pitching from start to finish of this season. They have not hit lefties well. However, Mike Minor still didn't have his best outing. 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, a home run allowed, 3 walks. So even though the game went well under, Mike Minor himself didn't have the best performance, and now he's facing a much tougher lineup here, and a lineup that's improved quite a bit from the beginning of the year against lefties. When you look in the last 30 days, the Mets are number 8 in isolated power against lefties. They're number 9 in team OPS. They earn a lot of walks at the plate. They're in the top 15 in walk percentage against lefties in the last month. They don't strike out much, one of the lowest strikeout rates against righties, against lefties. I think this is a really bad matchup for Mike Minor. When you look at Carlos Carrasco, he is pitching really, really well for New York. He's been inconsistent this year. We saw a really good start, then we saw a couple of poor starts against the Houston Astros, but lately he's been sharp. He got the job done for the Mets last time out against the Braves, and I think he gets another win here and a run line cover as well. Give me the New York Mets here laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Detroit Tigers. Shane Bieber and Tyler Alexander are your starters for this one. We have a pretty low total set in this game as you got Bieber, the ace for the Guardians, pitching staff on the mound. You got a lefty in Alexander. The Guardians not hitting lefties well this year. But instead of taking the under, I don't think there's a lot of wiggle room there. I'm going to take the Detroit Tigers plus the 1.5 runs. I think the Tigers could win this game outright, but I'm going to take the 1.5 just for backup. When you look at Shane Bieber's last start against these Tigers back on July the 6th, 5 2/3 innings, he gave up 7 hits, 5 earned runs, and 3 walks. He did have 6 strikeouts, but an 8-2 Cleveland loss in that game on the road. We know the Tigers play much, much better at home this year, and with the lefty on the mound, the Guardians not hitting lefties very well in 2022. I think there's some value here with the home dog, so I'm going to take the 1.5 runs here with Detroit. I think they at least lose this game by only 1 run, but I could see the Tigers winning this game outright. Next up, we see the Washington Nationals taking on the Chicago Cubs. Paolo Espino and Marcus Stroman are your starting pitchers for now, but no official lineup for this game quite yet, so we could see a pitching change, but I do expect these will be the starters. Paolo Espino is struggling in 2022. He's given up at least 2 home runs in 3 of his last 4 starts, and in all 4 of those starts, at least 1 home run. The base hits are piling up. He doesn't pitch too deep into ball games. He doesn't walk a lot of batters, but he also doesn't strike out a lot of batters, so not my favorite starting pitcher to back. I think the Cubs can get to him here. On the other side, Marcus Stroman pitching a lot better recently than he did at the beginning of the year. Even last start where he gave up 3 earned runs and 2 homers, he went 6 2/3 innings, gave up earned 6 strikeouts and no walks against a really tough Cardinals lineup. Even when Soto and Bell were in the lineup for Washington, their offensive numbers were one of the worst in the league. And now without those two, it's getting even worse. I can't back the Nationals in this spot. Give me the Chicago Cubs here on the money line, and I'll lay a little bit on the run line as well. Next up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. No official starter for the Rays quite yet, so no official line out. We should see Brandon Woodruff going for the Brewers. Now, I think Brandon Woodruff is a solid starting pitcher. I like the fact that he's able to earn some strikeouts. However, his last start was a little concerning. He only gave up 2 earned runs in the end, but 8 base hits, 3 walks, and only 3 strikeouts against the Pittsburgh Pirates of all teams. That's the big part that concerns me. Only 3 Ks against a Pittsburgh Pirates team that's known for striking out a ton at the dish. Their top 5 highest in strikeout rate in both against righties and lefties in the last 30 days. That is very concerning for me. We know the Brewers have really disappointed lately. They're blowing games with their bullpen. Their offense hasn't done much, and the starting pitching hasn't even been the best as of late. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Rays here just based on value. I think the Rays could score a few on Woodruff, and I trust their bullpen and lineup just a little bit more than Milwaukee's right now. Give me the Rays on the money line. Next up, we see Jose Urquidy and the Houston Astros taking on Martin Perez and the Texas Rangers. Now, Jose Urquidy has been a completely different starting pitcher recently than he was at the beginning of 2022. When you look at his numbers at home this year, 2.3 ERA at home. You look at his last 4 starts, look at his last 5 starts, pretty much all quality starts there. His last start against the Red Sox, 7 innings, 2 hits, no earned, no homers, no walks, 10 strikeouts. I mean, we don't really think of Urquidy as a strikeout guy, but he's missing some bats lately, and with him in his great form, I'm going to take the Houston Astros here. Martin Perez has also pitched really well this season. However, the Astros do hit lefties very, very well. At home here, I think Houston is the far better option. I'm going to take the Houston Astros here on the money line. We head to Coors Field as the Cardinals take on the Colorado Rockies. Miles Mikolas and Ryan Feltner are your projected starters for this one. The St. Louis Cardinals put up a 12 spot on Frankie Montas and the Yankees bullpen in their last game. I think this game's priced a little bit too low, at least for the total. 10.5. I think this game should be priced 11, 11.5. I like the over in this one. Ryan Feltner, 5.75 ERA on the season. I do think he's pitching better than that ERA suggests, but as of late, the strikeout numbers down a little bit. That concerns me. The base hits way up. Home runs haven't been too much of an issue, but still 7 and 40.2 innings. Not the best for a Coors Field pitcher. The Cardinals lineup is dangerous, and at Coors Field, a hitter-friendly park, I think the Cardinals do a lot of damage offensively, but on the other side, Miles Mikolas is more of a pitch-to-contact pitcher, and those don't usually do too well at Coors Field. When the ball is put into play, we know at Coors Field, the altitude can definitely let the ball carry even further than it would at a stadium like Busch Stadium. Mikolas' numbers on the road, not as good as they are at home this year, which makes sense as Busch Stadium, more of a pitcher-friendly park. Mikolas' last few outings, he's given up some home runs, at least 1 homer in 4 of his last 5. The strikeout numbers are there here and there, but overall, a lot of base hits allowed for Mikolas in his last 5 starts, at least 6 in 4 of those 5 outings. The Rockies' numbers against righties are improving, and I think overall we're going to see a high-scoring contest in this one. I really don't trust either of these bullpens either, so give me the over in this Cardinals-Rockies matchup. Next up, we see Shohei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Angels taking on James Kaprielian and the Oakland A's. Now, we're going to see a low total in this game, 6.5 runs, and I think it makes sense. You know, in Oakland here, we got Shohei Ohtani, one of the better starting pitchers in the American League. James Kaprielian really improving his game. In his last 5 starts, only one of those starts where he gave up more than 1 earned run, and that includes his last outing against these Angels. 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts. Not bad at all for Kaprielian. Shohei Ohtani did struggle a little bit against these Oakland A's, and that was the start. These two pitchers went head-to-head back on August 3rd. Ohtani, 5 2/3 innings, 7 hits, a home run. He did have 7 strikeouts, but he gave up 3 total runs, and that was good enough for the Oakland A's to win that game. At home here, I'm going to take the Oakland A's plus the 1.5 runs. I lean towards the under, but like I mentioned in a previous game for the rundown, not a lot of wiggle room with a total like that. So just give me the 1.5 runs here with the home dog. I think it's going to be a competitive game and a low-scoring one as well. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks with Zach Thompson and Tommy Henry on the mound. Now, Tommy Henry is a young pitcher. He hasn't really proven a lot at the major league level quite yet, but I really don't trust Zach Thompson here. I think the Diamondbacks have the much better lineup, especially when they're facing a righty. Zach Thompson's given up 7 earned runs, 3 earned runs, homers galore. The base hits are up. The strikeouts are still not there. And the Diamondbacks, with their hitting righties well overall this year, pretty good power numbers. I think Arizona can get to Thompson more than the Pirates can get to Henry. Pirates' numbers against lefties were decent at the beginning of the year, but now their strikeout rate is very, very high. Their team OPS and isolated power numbers are not as high as they were. So I'm going to take the Diamondbacks here on the money line and lay a little bit on the run line as well. Next up, we see the San Diego Padres hosting the San Francisco Giants with Alex Cobb and Joe Musgrove on the mound. When you look at Alex Cobb's numbers, at least his advanced numbers, the xFIP, the expected ERA, the FIP, they are really, really good. I do think he pitches well in this outing. When you look at Joe Musgrove, this is a perfect opportunity for a bounce-back start. He struggled quite a bit against the Rockies in his last start. 4 2/3 innings, 6 earned runs. But the Giants are just not hitting right-handed pitching in the last month. 25th in isolated power against righties in the last 30 days. Even worse in the team OPS department, ranked 28th. The strikeout rate is high for him. The walk rate is pretty low. I don't trust this Giants lineup to do much against Java Joe Musgrove. I'm going to take the under in this Giants-Padres matchup. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers with Joe Ryan and Julio Urias on the mound for this one. Now, Joe Ryan's most recent road start was not a good one. 4 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 10 earned runs, and 5 homers against the San Diego Padres. He did have a nice bounce-back outing against the Tigers, but that was at home, and that was against a far worse lineup in this Dodgers lineup, who is just crushing right-handed pitching. We saw them dominate the Padres in that home series against San Diego. Dodgers number 2 in team OPS in the last 30 days against righties, and they are number 4 in isolated power. And to me, a young pitcher here on the road, facing a really tough lineup, just not the best spot to be in for Minnesota. Julio Urias has been pitching well for the Dodgers this year. I think he pitches well enough here for the Dodgers to win this game. This price is pretty crazy. Los Angeles minus 230. Even though the Twins are a pretty solid team this year, but that just goes to show you how dominant the Dodgers have been, especially at home this year. I'm going to take the Dodgers here and a lean on the run line, but not a lot of value to go around in this game. And in our final game of the night, we see the New York Yankees taking on the Seattle Mariners. Garrett Cole and Luis Castillo. We just saw this pitching matchup back in Yankee Stadium last week. Garrett Cole is not pitching well for the Yankees. He's given up 11 earned runs in his last 12 innings pitched, and he really struggled against this Mariners lineup last start. 6 innings, he was somehow able to get through 6 innings, but gave up 6 earned runs and 3 homers. He was able to settle in a little bit in that start. He gave up a ton of runs early on, settled in, got some strikeouts, and gave the Yankees some necessary innings, but I just don't know if I can trust Cole in this one. I know he did get better as that start continued, but the Mariners, they just seem to have the Yankees number this season, and Luis Castillo also seems to have the Yankees number. He's faced them twice now this year, and he's had pretty good success in both of those starts. Last one, gave up 3 earned runs, but went 6 2/3 innings, 8 strikeouts for the Mariners in that 7-3 win. A tough game for me here, but I'm going to lean towards the dog just because you're getting plus money here, and Garrett Cole's struggles are still present right now at least. We'll see if he can bounce back here, but right now I can't trust him. Give me the Seattle Mariners on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Tuesday, August 9th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.